All right, it's Friday, October the 16th, the year 2020, and Anthony Troy Williams will be sentenced in a kangaroo court in 10 days on the 26th. So I've been told by his friend that he only gets just a few minutes out every day, and we managed to get a communication from him, and I wanted to read it into YouTube. So please keep Anthony Troy Williams in your prayers. His upcoming sentencing hearing on the 26th of October, which is only 10 days from today. Also, I got to say, from my perspective, because you kind of get a perspective as Aaron and I communicate with many prisoners and their families, and we see patterns develop. I know that the FBI looked across the landscape of America. They identified political threats, anyone who showed leadership, charismatic abilities, and then they targeted them with unethical informants to either threaten their life or instigate and provoke violence and basically just outright lie. If they can't get them to respond in a manner that they wanted, then they'll just outright lie and make up evidence in order to incarcerate them and silence them. So I have no doubt the FBI looked across the landscape of America, identified any potential threats to the establishment, and did their best to either kill them or incarcerate them. But there's also two prisoners that have a devilish band of hyenas that are motivated by just an absolute lust, a satanic lust to see the righteous suffer. Mike Parsons and his wife, Pat Parsons, have this devilish band of hyenas that have built their own websites to defame and slander and to put out false information and false narratives. And so Mike has to deal with that devilish band of hyenas when he gets out of prison, and he has to deal with them even now because they put out so much false information about him and his wife. But that same group of devilish band of hyenas also attacks Anthony Troy Williams to defame him, slander him, lie about him. In the book Pilgrim's Progress, which is the second most popular English written book in the history of the English language, there's a chapter near the end of the book called The Trial at Vanity Fair, ran by Beelzebub. And as you can see, they don't get a fair trial, and everything is rigged and railroaded and biased against the defendants. I think it's Christian and Faithful. And of course, they are found guilty and I believe sentenced to death. But in any event, you guys can go read Pilgrim's Progress. It's also available as an audiobook on YouTube. And let's get to the reading of this communication that's come in from Anthony Troy Williams. It's arrived today on October the 16th. It came in two parts, and what's weird is the second part came in first, and then the first part came in a few days later. So let's just read it. The subject is Blatant Lies of Darsie, Ing-Dodson. And I tried to find an image of her. I cannot find an image, but I gather she's some sort of lawyer. And you guys know how I feel about lawyers. It's the one profession called out in the Bible. And, the world would be better off without lawyers. But in any event, here's what he says. Blatant lies of Darsie Ing-Dodson placed in the pre-sentence investigation report to assassinate the character of Private Attorney General Anthony Williams. So right before they sentence you, they have a PSIR that they hand to the judge, and they'll try to make you look as bad as possible so they can get as long a sentence as possible. It says, Private Attorney General Anthony Williams, a servant of the Most High Yahweh Elohim Yeshua, files this declarative to show the blatant lies of Darsie Ing-Dodson placed in the pre-sentence investigation report to assassinate the character of Private Attorney General Anthony Williams. The blatant lies are enumerated as follows. 1. Darsie has my identifying data, which lists my race as black or African American, when I specifically outlined that I'm neither, but I'm Hebrew from the tribe of Judah. Number 2, she placed in the report that my Hawaii state ID is HIA 6066604 when I have no such ID. Number 3, she placed that I have social security number when I do not have one and haven't had one in 9 years. Number 4, she has me classified as a U.S. citizen when I am an African national and have expatriated myself from the corrupt United States Federal Corporation 28 USC 3002, parenthesis 15, parenthesis A. Number 5, she has that I have alternate ID from Tennessee when I have never had an ID issued by the state of Tennessee and never have I applied for one to have one. Number 6, she stated on page 7, paragraph 8, that I filed numerous motions with outlandish conspiracy theories when they were not outlandish or theoretic, but based upon fact and law. Number 7, Darsie wrote in her report incidents from the trial as if she was an eyewitness to the trial when she was not and could not state truthfully what actually happened at trial. Darsie just placed in her report what the pettifoggers, if you don't know what that word is, go look it up. P-E-T-T-I foggers, F-O-G-G-E-R-S, pettifoggers, Kenneth M. Sorensen and Greg Paris Yates told her to insert in the report. Number 8, Darsie did not call nor interview any of the clients that I listed, nor any of the clients that testified on my behalf at trial to get a true picture of what actually happened at trial and the true character of the undersigned. Number 9, Darsie did not call any of my children, family members, nor friends, with the exception of my dad, and that was only because she called him because she had to speak to him because of the report that she had to do on my mom, who was illegally targeted and coerced into taking a plea for something she did not do. Number 10, Darsie states in paragraph 16 on page 11 that the undersigned told potential clients at informational meetings that he could reduce their current mortgage balances, loan terms, and monthly mortgage payments by 1/2, and that once they joined the undersigned's program, they were informed that their original mortgage had been discharged or replaced by a loan in a lower amount, and that clients were instructed to cease all payments to the original mortgage lender. This is a blatant lie and misstatement of the facts and the actual MEI program. The FBI secretly recorded some of those meetings that Darsie spoke about, and in none of those meetings did I state this. The government had these video recordings but did not submit them into evidence because it would have shown how they blatantly lied and misstated what I told people at those seminars. Number 11, Darsie states in paragraph 17, in part, that to effectuate the scheme and provide the appearance of legitimacy, MEI clients executed an application packet with A. Williams. The packet typically contained a homeowner service guarantee agreement, HSGA, and a homeowner's guaranteed service form 330, which falsely promised free or discounted legal services by CLOA. Darsie conveniently omitted one of the most important forms in the MEI application, which was the foreclosure disclosure form, which specifically states that if a client is on the verge of facing foreclosure or in foreclosure, that the guarantee does not apply to them, and that the only guarantee that CLOA could give them is that we would fight hard to the best of our ability to fight their foreclosure and keep them in their home. This omission is material because it shows Darsie and the prosecutor's intent to hide the truth in the report to make it appear that the undersigned misrepresented his services when this clearly was not the case. 12. Darsie state in paragraph 18 states in part that CLOA prepared bogus mortgage paperwork and filed it in the Bureau of Conveyance, and that the BOC did not verify the substance or legality of the documents. This is a blatant lie because when the undersigned filed the documents, the BOC scrutinized the documents and sent rejection letters to the undersigned outlining what needed to be changed on the document for it to be lawfully recorded. The undersigned made the changes according to their specifications, and the documents were properly recorded. Number 13. In Darsie's whole report, she continued to use the language that Sorensen and Yates used to characterize the MEA business, such as fraudulent mortgage documents, bogus UCC filings, fraudulent mortgage reduction scheme, and mortgage fraud. When the undersigned was not charged, arrested, nor indicted for any of these offenses, the undersigned was falsely charged with making false statements, material misrepresentations, and omissions through the email and mail, and wrongfully charged with mail and wire fraud. In none of the counts is the undersigned charged with mortgage fraud, fraudulent mortgage documents, bogus UCC filings, or fraudulent mortgage reduction schemes, although the prosecutors rambled on a bunch of nonsense in the indictment alleging these false acts, but the undersigned was not indicted on any of these offenses. 14. Darsie, in her report in paragraph 26, states in part that Melvin Ventura believed that the undersigned was an attorney at law and representative of the United States, knowing full well that this statement was a blatant lie, and she had access to these 3 affidavits that Mr. Ventura wrote on the undersigned's behalf, stating that the undersigned did not lie to him nor committed any type of fraud against him, and that this case against the undersigned was discriminatory, retaliatory, and malicious because the undersigned was exposing corruption in the judicial system here in Hawaii. Number 15, Darsie conveniently omitted the fact that at trial, Mr. Ventura was specifically asked by the pettifogger Sorensen, did the undersigned tell him the truth about the MEI program? And Mr. Ventura stated yes. And Sorensen asked him again, expecting him to now answer no, but Mr. Ventura told the truth and stated yes again. Number 16. Darsie also conveniently omitted the fact that Mr. Ventura testified that he still believes in the undersigned, believes the undersigned is a good man, and still trusts the undersigned despite the government attempt to make the undersigned appear as a criminal. Number 17. Darsie conveniently omitted the fact that the lies that were told to clients were told by Henry Malinay, Annabelle Khabib, Edna Franco, and Rowena Valdez. And when the undersigned found out what they were doing, they were fired. Subsequently, when the undersigned found out that these charlatans formed a copycat company and were scamming people, knowing that they couldn't do the work that the undersigned did to protect people from foreclosure, the undersigned went to the FBI and the DCCA and made complaints against them, and neither organization did anything to protect the homeowners or the undersigned's business. Number 18, Darsie stated in paragraph 57 in part that after A. Williams was released from custody in 2014, he returned to Honolulu and filed complaints with governmental agencies that ME had abandoned their ME efforts and returned to working for A. Williams at MEI. This is a blatant lie, and Darsie knew this was not the truth because Khabib and Malinay never returned to work for the undersigned nor MEI, as evidenced by the complaint the undersigned filed against them and the website the undersigned put up warning the public about these scam artists. Although Khabib deceived the undersigned into believing she had nothing to do with the fraudulent ME company, it wasn't until a week before trial that the undersigned learned that Khabib was actually a signer on the ME bank account and was in fact one of the culprits in scamming clients and the undersigned. 19. Darsie stated in her addendum to the pre-sentence report in paragraph 107 in part that the defendant held additional meeting targeting distressed homeowners who were particularly susceptible to his mortgage reduction scheme. Additionally, the defendant hired recruiters such as Khabib and Malinay to utilize their connections within Hawaii's Filipino community to specifically target Filipino clients, many of whom did not speak English fluently and were financially unsophisticated. Emphasis added. Darsie knew if she reviewed the trial transcripts as she claims that every Filipino witness that the government called to lie, and every one of them, A, did you go to school in the Philippines? And B, did you learn to read, write, and speak English in school in the Philippines? Every witness answered yes. When one witness, Evelyn Subia, showed up with an interpreter to deceive the jury into thinking she can't understand English very well. I asked Miss Subia, did she go to church? And she answered yes through her interpreter. I then asked, was the church she was attended English or Filipino? And she answered English. The next day, I called her husband, Arnold Subia, to testify and asked him, did his wife speak English, read, write, and understand English very well? And he answered yes. I then asked him, why did your wife show up yesterday at trial with an interpreter if she can't speak English? He answered he didn't know why she did that. 20. Darsie stated in her addendum, paragraph 108, response in part, that the defendant does not dispute that the criminal activity was otherwise extensive, which is a blatant lie. The undersigned emphatically disputes and denies that there was any criminal activity and there was nothing extensive, as the undersigned did everything according to the law. 21. Darsie conveniently omitted in her report that as of the date of her report, none of the alleged victims have ever made a complaint against the undersigned. Yet she states that there are 112 victims, many of whom testified in the undersigned's behalf at trial and will be testifying at the undersigned's sentencing. 22. Darsie, on page 65 under paragraph 103, response stated in part, there is no evidence that any of the MEI's Hawaii's clients participated in a lawful foreclosure assistance program or that MEI could provide legitimate services in this respect. This is a blatant lie that Darsie stated because Darsie knows that MEI was registered to do business in Hawaii and with the DCCA for mortgage and foreclosure assistance. Furthermore, Darsie knows that all of the clients in Hawaii, the undersigned had a power of attorney pursuant to Hawaii Revised Statute 55-1D to assist homeowners with any of their affairs, which included real estate, and that the undersigned kept most of his clients in their homes with the work he did fighting their foreclosures. 23. Darsie stated on page 68, paragraph 108, in her response, in part, that he targeted Filipinos who did not speak English fluently, were financially unsophisticated, and were having difficulty paying their mortgages. This is another blatant lie of Darsie because Darsie knows that the undersigned had many Caucasian, Samoan, Chinese, and Japanese clients here in Hawaii, and many Filipino clients who were college educated, as were the majority of the undersigned's clients, and Darsie wants to present the narrative of the prosecutors that these people were idiots who can't speak English, when on the contrary, most of the undersigned's clients were very well educated. Dr. Leonard Horowitz, a Caucasian client who testified at trial on the undersigned's behalf, has a degree from Harvard and testified that what the undersigned was doing was legal and lawful and did his own research to verify. The undersigned did not target no specific group of people, nor did the undersigned even advertise, but built his business through satisfied clients' word of mouth and had a variety of clients from all different nationalities and economic backgrounds. Okay, that was 23. Let me bring up the next. Okay. You know what? I think I'm missing part of 24. Hold on. Oh, here we go. 24. Darsie, on page 74, told one of the most egregious lies in her report when she stated, in part, the defendant has some antisocial relationship, including with his mother and brother, Michael Farrow. This is a blatant lie, and there is no way Darsie was told this by the undersigned's mother, father, or any other siblings. The undersigned has a great relationship with all of his siblings, and the undersigned's family continue to support the undersigned through this unlawful incarceration and conviction. For Darsie to print this type of blatant lie against the undersigned and his family is indicative of the evil and wicked disposition of the probation office in collusion with the U.S. Attorney's Office to have the audacity to intentionally insert blatant lies to make the undersigned appear as this antisocial criminal who doesn't have a good relationship with his mother or other siblings, which is not the case. A search of the undersigned's emails and phone records would show the close relationship the undersigned has with his mother and siblings. 25. Darsie's report was not a fair and independent report. but was just a report which stated what the pettifogger prosecutors have lied and said about the undersigned and his business. In fact, the undersigned is for certain that the pre-sentence report was not drafted by Darsie at all, but by the pettifogger prosecutors Kenneth M. Sorensen and Greg Paris Yates, and just signed off on it by Darsie. Executed this 14th day of October 2020, Anthony Williams, Private Attorney General, Common Law Counsel, 28 U.S.C. 1654, First Judiciary Act of 1789, Section 35. Counsel to the poor, Psalms 14:6. Lo Yah, not lying lawyer. Okay, that's the communications that I've received under the title Blatant Lies of Darsie Ing-Dodson. I'll put this on his Year of Jubilee page as well in a PDF format so you can have it for downloading. And please keep Anthony Troy Williams in your prayers. He has been targeted by a devilish band of satanic hyenas who have a satanic lust for his destruction and his incarceration and even death. I think they want to kill him. But I think God will put a hedge of protection around Anthony, and we have been commanded to let Anthony know that he is loved and not abandoned by the body of Jesus Christ. Thank you for your time.